Hi, and welcome to another segment of Gardening 101. I'm Melanie Hellier, a Healthy Brandon committee member, and behind the scenes is Justine Friesen, who's a City of Brandon recreation programmer. We've been working all summer on a series of workshops under the Gardening 101 guise, and today we're here with Sajjad Rao, who is an instructor and a researcher at ACC Horticultural Program, and he's going to guide us through harvesting, because it's that time of the year that we want to harvest our seeds. So Sajjad is going to explain what we look for in a plant, and how if we can harvest it, and if we can harvest the seed.
Thank you, Melanie. So as Melanie said, Sajjad Rao. So I'm an instructor and a researcher here at Assiniboine Community College. So the two main programs which the ACC runs is the sustainable food production and it's an horticulture production. So I teach and I have applied research. So 50% of the time I'm going for both of those my segments. So today we are here at the Assiniboine Community College grow plot, and behind the grow plot we have a ACC greenhouse complex. So in this grow plot in summer, so we go for different types of the crops. We do some research, we do some demonstration plot, we do some production plots for the Manitoba Institute of Culinary Arts. So we just produce some fruits like tomatoes, like peppers, like melons, the squashes, the onions, and all of kind of vegetables, even some small fruits like strawberries, some bush berries, and some, you can see on the background, some orchard trees as well, so apricot and apples. So this is our grow plot. So that where we do some demonstration for our agribusiness students, our water management students, as well as the main focus is the horticulture production of fruit and vegetables, and some research is going on this grow plot. So today, as Melanie mentioned, that we are going to learn some methods and techniques and timing of how to harvest and save the seed for our next year crop. And I think that's the best time. That's the time which when we need to know exactly, because the things are in place, how we're going to harvest, what are the different methods, techniques, and things we will going to discuss in this today's session. So this is one of the best time to learn about how to harvest the seed, and I will just mention some basic things about harvesting seed and the saving seed from a garden, because most of the gardener they put like some extra time at this time. I think that will save a lot of time and energy and their money as well for the next year. So this is it's not a new, I will say it's a method. It's a very old method, but as the things are evolving time to time, it's a new varieties, new hybrids, new things are coming, new technologies. So diseases are more, insects are more. So we need to update ourselves with the new things as well. So we'll try to organize things in a way that will go step by step. So first, our basic thing is which crops are easy to harvest seed from. So there's a different types of the crops. If we go for open pollinated crops and self-pollinated crops like tomatoes and peppers and beans, they are good to make a seed for the next year. But if we buy a seed from a store which is a hybrid, so hybrid means that is a combination of two different parent. So, and if we are choosing a fruit like a tomato hybrid and making a seed from that tomato berry, so next year it won't be a same. It will just be a different types of a plant you will see in that one. So these are just some basic things we need to know. If open pollinated crops, it's a good. Self-pollinated crop is good because there is no variation. Whatever you harvest from them, whatever you save a seed, next year you will exactly find the same crop, or true to type crop in other words. So this is one of the basic thing. So as I mentioned, selecting a crop the most important, and then within a crop selecting a plant is the another important thing. So means definitely you have a garden, you have a lot of plants growing of a same crop. For example, it's a tomato and it's a self-pollinated crop, and one plant is weak, one is healthy. So select a vigorous plant and select a plant which is free of disease, free of insects. So you will find a healthy tomato on that one. Similar for the pepper. If you are selecting a pepper, so make sure the plant is healthy. This is no infection on that, any of disease, any of the pest. It's not a weak. So vigorous plant healthy plant give you a good fruit, and from a good fruit we can harvest a good seed for our next year. So this is one of the very basic understanding. And then it's an harvest method. We will cover some harvest method. So it's a hand picking, it's a shaking, it's a naturally drop down, picking from the ground. So these are the different ways we just put it in a bucket or in a container, or we shake the whole plant and see which one is ready to harvest. So there is a harvest maturity is the most important thing. So we will just go through some tomatoes and peppers here. So as you see, there is a lot of tomato. They are already ripened. It's a good time. It's month of the their growing season. You will see some of those tomatoes here in a same bunch. You can see here there's a middle of their maturity. Some of them they are ripened, some of them they are really good in already over mature, so they already like having a cracks. So definitely we are not going to select this type of a tomato because it's already cracked. Disease and insects can be contaminated here. So this tomato, you can see this is a ripened full good mature tomato. So if you compare this one, this is tomatoes maturity is there, taste is developed, but it will still ripe and get a good color. So what we are going to select is the nice tomato which is fully mature and having a full color develop on that tomato. So that seems to be a good tomato, and there's no disease. You don't see any spot or any other thing on this tomato. So it's evidently physically we can see there's no disease, nothing. The other important thing is, if you know about the tomato or the plant which you are harvesting, the size. So if we know the size is, let's say it's a 1 inch dia, that's the average size for that tomato. So harvest that tomato, not smaller than that, not definitely it will not bigger, but not smaller than that. Okay. So go for that. And you look all year, every year when you seed it, the maturity will remain same, the diameter will remain same, the color will remain same. So if you have a history or a little bit of a visual observation notes from the plant you are seeding this year and harvesting a seed, so you know that it is already mature. So maturity is a criteria. So if it is good maturity, you will get a good seed from that. So here is the pepper plant. It's a healthy plant. You can see from the top, it's a canopy, it's no disease, there's no insect, it's no leaves are curling. So like as a layman or as a gardener, not being so scientific, at least we should be knowing about that. There's no insects, no curling, there's no spot, looks very healthy, it's green, color is not faint, it's not light green, it's a good plant. And if we see, there's a lot of peppers here getting ready. So it's a nice pepper. So all the peppers, they are like getting the same shape, they are growing in a well. They are growing to maturity. Once they grow to their physiological maturity and morphological maturity, they stop increasing their length and diameter, right? So it means they are mature enough, now they are ripening. So that they are going to the ripening stage. So once they are going to the ripening stage, you see, this is a green. Definitely we can eat it if we want it. So it's good to eat, good to make a curry, good to make any use in salad or any other thing. This is close to ripening. Nice. There's close to ripening, getting some color on it. And this one is really, these two ones, they get really good color and they're mature enough to harvest at this point. So they're not dried enough, but they are still at a maturity. They can be dried at the plant. So at the same plant, if you leave it and just keep watching them, or the another thing is that we can tag them as well. If you selected those peppers, you just make a tag on it and just see and leave it. They will fully mature on the plant. The fruit which mature on the plants is always good. Try not to make some ripen over the counter. So whatever is maturity on the plant, that will be good. But like tomato, we can harvest at like a 75 maturity, is physical maturity done. If you leave it on the counter, it will mature. Okay. We have an example of banana. Buy a green banana or a half yellow banana, leave it on the counter, it will mature. Right. But not so with this. Not so with this. Okay. So just make sure whatever we can make it mature like this. At this maturity, yes, we can harvest at this point. So we can harvest at this point and take it with us and leave it in our kitchen or a room or a basement where we want to, and we need to dry it out. Okay. So in the second part of this discussion, we will see how we will dry out and how we will extract the seed from this pepper. Okay.
So I have a question. We have some lovely pumpkins here. This orange one here looks fairly mature. Can we harvest seeds from this pumpkin?
Yes, we can mature from any mature like vegetable. We can save a seed. So the only thing is that it should be mature. So like as you mentioned, it's like fairly mature. It has a color and it has all the physiological and morphological maturity is completed. So yes, we can save the seed. If it is from a hybrid seed, then definitely we need to keep in mind, as I mentioned, that might be the next crop might be not a true to type of exactly what we have harvested. It might be differentiated.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have like same, we have a melons here. So melon nowadays is most of these crops are coming in hybrids.
Okay.
So hybrid is a combination of, as I mentioned, two inbred lines. So for giving a good color, good texture, good taste and everything. So their F1 crop or the first generation, they're really good and uniform. You will see a very uniform crop in their first generation. So at maturity, yes, we can harvest their seed, we can store their seed, and we can secure over the winters, and we can next year we can grow the seed. But again, the question is that might not be the similar, same size of a melons, same uniformity, we will not get it if it is a hybrid. If it is an open pollinated variety, anything, yes, we will get the similar crop.
Okay, so I understand that carrots are similar to dill in seed harvesting. Can you explain more about that to us?
In a same way, in a floral pattern, yes, they're same. But the only thing which we need to consider for the carrot is it's a biennial crop. It takes 2 years to flower. So in a 1 year it doesn't flower, so it takes 2 years. It need to go to the overwinter, and then it will make a flower for the next year. So that's the only exception with the carrot or any other biennial crop. So we need to wait for another year, just leave it, and just next year when it will come again, it will make its seed at that time, and then we can harvest. The flower looks like similar to same like in a dill or any other umbel shape of a flower. So it's a very tiny flower, so we need to make sure we are harvesting in a container. Any dropped seed, we should avoid any drop seed to collect and save it, because there is in soil there is so many insect damages, and there is a soil borne diseases. It can be contaminated easily by the soil. So as we're talking about a different crops and harvesting of a different crop, so this plant you can see is a dill plant, and its flower is entirely a different shape than the other flower. Like if you see a tomato, it's different, and like for example, if you see this one just crosses, it's a type of a weed mint, so it's a different flower. So it is easy to spread out. So there's two methods for dill. So we can cover with a paper bag. So if it is shedding, so we can collect the seed in a paper bag when it's near to maturity. So that's what we can do. And this is in the same year we can harvest the seed as compared to the carrots. So carrots and onion, they both live in a cold period of a time. So they flower the next year, not in the first year. So that's the main difference between biennial and the annual crop, and a different type of a seed and different method of a seed to harvest. Some harvest like tomatoes, we just took a berry. For a pepper, we just took a whole pepper, we can take it inside. Some of those seeds like flower, like a dill flower, it's very delicate. So when it comes to the maturity, it will automatically start shedding it. So it's a better way to do it, to just do whichever the flower we selected, either we cut it at the before it start dropping, just cut it from the stem and take it inside and shake it in a container and just save it from there. Go for procedures from there. So this is the next step. So once you select the crop, you select the plant, and you after selecting the plant, you harvest a berry or a seed direct from the plant, as I mentioned. Let's say an example, if you just selected a tomatoes and a pepper from the plant, and you wanted to make a seed out of it for your next year. So these are some of those tools. It's a very household type of a tool. You don't need it much, like a scissor or a knife. It's a small tags. You can buy it from any store, Dollarama, Staples, or any other thing. It's a sieve and a household sieve. It's a Sharpies and a lead pencil. So this is for your once you bring your produce or a seed or a fruit from the field, you need to just use these things. These are some containers in which normally I use. This is called the petri dishes. So I use these petri dishes for my use, and some containers for a long-term storage. I will use these ones. So this is all those things which is normally can be easily accessible and easily with a low cost money we can make it. So what we can do is I will just take a knife and as a sieve with me, and we'll just go and harvest this tomato and cut into 2 pieces and bring it into this petri dish. Okay. And then we will just go for it. So the first thing is that try to with your tools, even your sieve, knives, petri dishes or a tomato, as much as less contact with any other material, so they will be less contaminated. So it should not be contaminated on the area where it's already disease. We can't see the disease or spores in the air, so it's better to have everything placed on some paper or towel or something, so it will. So basically what is a very simple process we are going to demonstrate here. We just need to cut this tomato like the tomato we cut in our kitchen and see if it is ripened. You can see it's all ripened from inside. So there's no inside green, any other thing. So if you just squeeze it a little and pour it down into the tomato where the seed is and leave the mesh area which is not going to be used, all the seed, maximum seed is gone inside. You can see there's nothing left, only the fleshy part is left. So we'll just leave this fleshy part in here. And we'll just pour some water. Make sure it's not very hot, it's not very cold at this point, so we don't want to give any type of a stock or any stress to the seed. We just gently wash this one at this point, and you can still see some fleshy part on it. So I'll just put my glasses on, and you can see the seeds is removed from some of those fleshy part, and most of the fleshy part is gone. So I'll just remove it here, and I will take as much as fleshy part from here. So nothing is going to stay into the container. So if you will look at this one, how individual seed came out. So there's no fleshy part, no mesh, nothing is there. So just gently rinse this one, and you will see it's mostly done. Wow. So you don't want to rub them? I will, at this stage, I will not going to rub them because it's a very good seed. Yeah. So if I will just give you a gentle rub, because the only point is that I don't want to damage the seed, right, or a seed embryo or any contact part which is the live part. Because remember, the seed is a living organism, okay, so it breathes. So that's why it's germinate next year. So we try to give them a gentle shower. If there is a skin on it, it's a little skinny type of a skin, that doesn't matter. So it will automatically come. Just pour it down. You will see, just use some tissues. So just to make sure the water content will go not with the container as much as you want it to make. So as I mentioned, I normally don't try to touch the seed as much as. So what I will do, I will take this petri dish and I will just put it on this one like this and put it upside down and just tap it from there. So all the seed is here now, you can see. So all the seed is here. Yes, I can wash my hands, wash my fingers to just do a little bit spread it out. So it will be a single seed spreading in that way. So once it is dried, I can easily pick seed for my next year crop. So that's it. So simple. I'll just cover it with the lid. That's the one way. The other way is that within the petri dish we can put some paper towel or a tissue and then pour the seed on top of that one. So in that case, if there is some moisture or something from the water, that will go on into the tissue or in a way. But normally this is good and we are good. Now the next procedure will go from there. Simple basic method. So that's what we do, and we can see here that what I did from my last year. So once the seed is done, I can rip my tape so you can see here. So that's from my last year. So all crispy seeds, and I have a tag which I'm going to discuss after that. So you can see it. It's all individual seeds. They are sticking with each other, but that's fine. There's a little layer, so that will, when it goes in the in a growing media, it will dissolve and they will grow into a new plant. Okay. So that is fine, and we can, once they are dried, Next year we can just squeeze and we can separate easily. But at this point, if we try to do something like a harder, so definitely there are chances so they can damage. So we don't want to do at this point. So at this point, you can see the one thing is important which I wanted to mention. Just leave it a little bit open on the petri dish or your container for a few days so the air can pass. But after that, if you do it like this way from the day one, so there's a moisture inside. So the moisture and might be is a high humidity, so there is a chances of a mold. So it's a great mold. Right. So what I do normally when I put my all petri dishes or my containers, and I then keep watching it. If I see any of my container having a moldy seed, I will just remove that whole dish or a container or a tray from that lot, because there is a chances by air, by any other means, it can contaminate my other seed. So that is the most important part. So I will come if the seed is contaminated, and if we cannot seed, if we think that there is a chances of the contamination, so we'll go with that one. So next thing is, once you are harvested, what I normally do is put the variety name on the envelope, and the seeding date when I seeded it, for like this year when I'm harvesting, when it was first flowering happens, and when the fruit was matured. So when I harvested that fruit, what the shape look like, it's a round, oval, or what it is. So there shouldn't be any surprises next year when I'm growing, right? And how approximately diameter. So these are just some notes for myself. So I just put it aside and keep it with the petri dish, let's say like this. So I know this seed is from this variety or this line or this plant, and these are the characteristics. So next year when I am seeding, so I don't have any surprises from that one. So it's a small trick, but you learn a lot.
Yeah,
so
very good idea.
And make a date on it, put a tag on it, date and everything, and just leave it. Let it dry in a normal room temperature. So we don't have to put under the sun to dry it, no, under normal conditions. So once it is dry, we'll go with the storage temperature later on. So these are the different samples. Also how we do with the tomatoes. So I can store, once they are petri dishes, we just grab from the petri dish and put it in a sealed container inside, and for a long storage or overwinter storage. So it's good to use a seed from 1 year only, harvested from 1 year. We can go for 2 years, 3 years, but its germination will start reducing it. The seed will start deteriorating by the age. So that is. So now the other crop, which is, we just harvested the peppers. So as I mentioned, the tomatoes, yes, at a room temperature, we can let it dry, and once it is dry, we can store it. And might be this pepper is not going to dry as it is required in a normal, so put it outside in a sun. Temperature is a normal sunny day or temperature for a few days until we find it like this. Once they are in this stage, like this stage, so they are totally dry, wrinkled, shriveled. So now this is you can see it is like totally dried, and it's by nature. By natural sunlight and temperature, it is dried.
Okay, so you don't want to put it in a dehydrator or something like that?
No. The reason I don't want to go that way, because I don't want to damage any seed.
Right.
The natural process is always a good process. They can go like this. We harvested it today, which is 24th of August. Still the plant is there, and it goes till the end of or mid of September, easily before the frost happens, right? So at least it has a, I will say 30 days over there in the field. So little bit more maturity, and then it comes to this way. If we go outside in a temperature or in a room temperature, a good room temperature, it will come into this one. And this is not oven dried or any other dry. This is a natural dry. I did it, right? So, and some of them you will shake it, and it will tell the seed is inside.
I can hear that.
You can see the buzz, right?
I can hear it.
So you can see the buzz. So that means the seed is ready. So this is pepper. So normally I use gloves for the peppers. So what I will do is I will try to knock down this pepper and see. So mostly the seeds are not in the first part of the pepper. They are on the upper part of the pepper. So seeds are joined here, but if it is already dried, so it might come down. So it's better to do this way, and you can rip off, and Look, see, one seed only.
Yeah.
Now you will see from the last part.
Yeah.
How many seed?
Oh, look at that.
So because they are attached on the top part.
Yeah.
So if we just rip it a little bit and see how many still there and how good seed, it's a very good seed. It's a very nice seed. You can see it's a single seeds coming out of it. Make sure you get all the seed out of it and you remove this thing.
And there you have it.
And here you go with a nice clean seed. Only a few here and there things which you can clean easily. It's a very nice good seed, individual seed. It's a very healthy seed.
Yes.
So-
Now I have a question for you. That dried pepper, can you use that dried part of the pepper for cooking?
This one?
Yes.
For, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we can use it like for any culinary purpose.
Okay.
For any like a salad, culinary, whatever you want it to make, it is still as good as it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a good part. So we can use the both parts or all of the parts.
Good.
So in this way, so once it is dry, we can use the same wall or a petri dish or any other thing. Now come to the storage. There's a different method. We can use it to when we put in a storage for a long term means for the next year. Some these like milk powder. So it's a milk powder. If we can use that as a desiccant, so 1 or 2 spoon in a mesh bag, what's called this? It's a cloth, small cloth, 2 spoons, and just tie it up and put it with the container. If there is any moisture in the surrounding, it will just absorb all the moisture. So it's as a desiccant, it works as a desiccant. And I think most of the houses are in, you can find easily any powdered milk.
Okay.
So that's one of the good tip to use if there is any moisture around the seed. So it should be dry and a cool place.
Okay.
So once the seed is ready, like this seed, don't expose to a high temperature, don't expose to a low temperature.
Okay.
Normally, as a thumb rule, is plus minus 5 degrees Celsius is a good to store. Otherwise, if you have a basement or if you have a cold area in the basement, if you are storing there as well, above a little bit 5 degrees Celsius, I have not seen any big losses in it.
Okay.
Because I don't want to tell like a very scientific thing in here.
Yeah.
So like any layman can use it and store it at their own house in a basement or in a cold storage area where they feel that it's the most coldest place in the, still it's not freezing, so then it's fine.
Right.
So you can use it. But it's not moldy, there's no high moisture in that area. Right. So normally the basement get moisture. If you are using a dehumidifier or something like that, that's fine. Okay. That will work. So the reason I'm saying is that will work because I used to do that.
Okay.
And that is from all the experiences what I got it, I did the same way.
Okay.
And I wanted to tell the audience that this is something can be doable and you can still get a good seed out of it.
Okay.
So rather than spending too much money on buying some storage cabinet or something like that, it can be doable.
Okay.
So when next year when you're seeding it, that's the last part. So now if you have any doubt that seed might be exposed to any contamination, might be it is, the first thing is that if you have 100 seed in your packet, let's take 10 seed out of it, moisten your tissue paper, let's say it's a towel paper or a tissue paper, little bit moist it with the water, put 10 seed like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in this way and put another towel on top and leave it for a week or 2 weeks and keep it a little bit wet, not too wet, and it will start germinating. So you will see the seed you have saved, how much germination. If it is 10 out of 10, 100% germination. If it is 10 out of 8, it's mean 80% germination you have. So it means it is a good storage facility, you have maintained it. So this thing will give you a little bit of a confidence for your next year storage. Yeah. So the way you have all the procedures you have followed, and next year when you are seeding, your saved seed give you more than 80% germination, means you are good.
Okay.
So the other thing is that in this, we cover the storage thing, right? And if you still feel there is some contamination might happen, so it's a 5% bleach, 1 to 4 ratio, means 1% of a bleach and a 1 part of a bleach and 4 part of a water. Water, you can use it, and some drops of your dishwashing liquid in it, and stir it for a minute.
Okay.
All these seeds. So if there is something on top or covering the seed, any like bacterial blight or any other molding or any other thing, it will move it, or it will make it clear. So from the skin or the covering of the seed for 1 minute, and then wash it for the 5 minutes under the normal water, and then dry it. So normally this procedure is done when you are going to seed it. So if you store it, it's not preferable to do like bleaching and washing and then you store it. No. Once you are going to do it, you check the germination is good, but still you wanted to remove any dirt or fungus or any other thing, just do it in that bleach solution, and just after that dry it and just start seeding it. Okay. So that's the best way to do it. Okay. And in this way you will get a good healthy crop from your saved seed.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sajjad. We've learned a lot of valuable information on the session today, and I know all our gardeners will be very thankful for that and put that information to good use. I'd also like to say thanks to Justine Friesen, who's the recreation programmer with the City of Brandon Parks and Recreation, for this workshop series, and thank you to Healthy Brandon. It's been a great workshop series, and we've learned lots of information. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Melanie. Thanks for having me. I hope it's a good workshop for the people.